God. His beautiful world filled with creatures and plants and one boy and one girl who were truly in love. And their God was enough for their every desire and need. Just one rule, don't eat from that tree. But a snake started talking to Eve, and suddenly they were intrigued, thinking maybe this fruit's what we need. So they picked it and started to feed. Then something went wrong. Like a dark cloud, but worse, the garden fell under a terrible curse that spread far and wide. They were forced outside, so begins a new chapter and verse. So there's God, and here's mankind separate, just longing to find him again, remembering when they were living in beautiful freedom. They had to return to Eden. But God knew they'd struggle. They couldn't save themselves, and they wouldn't get far with God stuck on the shelves. Once they'd welcomed the curse, there's no simple reverse. And so it was named the fall. And God's heart ached the most of all. He would not ignore their call. But as he suspected, his people rejected his heart cry to bring them back home. Insisted they'd do it alone, but we can all guess how that goes. People wanted a God, you see, but one they could sort of see. So they experimented, worshipping idols. Bad idea, because that's not God's style. So he gave them judges and he tried them on kings, and they worked for a time. They did wonderful things, but see how the pendulum swings. From rebellion back to God's feet, to rebellion back to God's feet. The pattern was stuck on repeat. Even the law scribed in 10 simple steps wasn't simple enough, and his people regressed. But God, who can see the end from beginning, knew without intervention, they'd just keep on sinning. He'd known from the moment they bit into that fruit that a rescue was needed, with a hero to boot. So he kept getting ready. But his people weren't ready for a hero to land on the scene. So he crept in quiet one night, a baby born under starlight, from distant to incredibly near. Almost like he'd always been here. And he lived and grew with family who knew him as well as you'd know a brother. Or a son, like he's known by his mother, because being known was part of the plan. Fully God and fully man. What? But he wasn't mad. He was Messiah, whose ways were truer, whose thoughts were higher, who held out a rescuing hand, leading straight to that promised land. And the life he led here is our constant example. Finally, the God who is touchable, tangible. He lived to show us a way back to God. He died to save us. He died on the cross. And why did that save us? Because he didn't stay dead. He did just what the scriptures said. He went there and left there, defeating death. It's all in the Bible if you want to check. One act to top every human endeavor. He took what was broken and fixed it forever. No more glitches, interference, dodgy connections, just relationship, just restoration. So plug in and tune in and let's get excited. The adventure is on and you are invited.